Good morning and welcome to this particular session. It promises to be an exciting time as we are going to be reviewing various areas of HR analytics and also of business analytics and business intelligence. This particular webinar has been designed to help you to understand the horizon, the landscape of analytics, and how you can use this particular landscape to advance your career, to support your organization, and continue to build effective systems, decision-making systems for the organization that you represent and that you are working with. Okay. Just as a way to start off, I work with P4P Institute, which is a consulting firm here in Lagos, and we are into business development, business growth, organizational development, and HR transformation. We've been around since 2001 and have done businesses around business solutions, HR solutions, training and development, career management, and stuff like that. My name is Joel. I am the instructor for this particular program. I'm a certified business value builder. I'm going to be sharing experiences around this particular area and how these experiences can help you to advance your career and what you're doing at various areas. Please feel free at any point in time to send in the questions through the chat box. If I can, I'll take the questions immediately. If I can't at that point in time, at the end of the conversations, we shall come back to your questions. All right? Just to kick off our conversation, here is our agenda of what we are going to be looking at today. We shall look at the increasing demand for the modern day business analysis specialist. We also look at the evolutions of business analysis and business intelligence. Look at the possible career opportunities for a business associate or a business analyst, and how that particular person can advance in those areas. Then we'll look at the variance or the difference between the traditional and the modern day future of the business analyst. Then we'll see how you can build a community and how you can be a part of the business analysis community. And then how you can use this platform as an opportunity to grow your career. To get you started, let's start first by looking at business intelligence. What exactly is business intelligence? And why is business intelligence today of paramount importance as much as possible? It is important that you note that there are various platforms, various ways of looking at business intelligence. In my discussion here on business intelligence, we shall be looking at successful completion, and also how those particular completions help to deliver value in various areas of this. Then we'll also explain the difference between business intelligence, business analytics, and also of data math and big data. And then we'll now see what are the various characteristics of a good decision when it comes to data mining in those particular areas. And then we'll describe what data mining is, and then explain the various market opportunities and cluster analysis. So these are some of the thoughts we shall look at as we examine the space of business intelligence. So business intelligence or business analytics, big data, data mining, what exactly is the difference between all these things? We hear them regularly, all right? But how do they add up as the case may be? First, business analytics are tools that we use to explore data, especially historic data, in order to gain insights into future business decisions in the organization. BI, on the other hand, are tools and techniques that turns this particular data into meaningful information. So please note the two, all right? Then big data is cluster of data, plenty data that you have that is so large or complex that traditional data processing and applications are inappropriate for you to be able to examine and use that particular data at that point in time. Data mining is the process of gathering data, discovering patterns in the data that you have already. Let's take, for example, your customer, your sales database. If you look at the past 5 years, the people you have been selling to, you see the data you have gathered across those particular 5 years. Let's say you have 1,000 customers each year. Let's be practical a little bit. Let's look at the platform called Jumia as an example. How many volume of sales do you think Jumia does in a day? How many customers will you say buy things from Jumia in a day? Please share. You can type on the chat box. How many customers do you think buy things from Jumia in a day? How many customers? Give me an example. Just give me any number. How many customers you think buy online on Jumia each day? Yes, just type a number on the chat box. Yes, I'm waiting for you. How many customers buy from? Equivalent of over 60 million sales in a particular year. Imagine the size of those particular transactions at that point in time. Over 60 million sales in 1 year. Now that particular 60 million sales, right? Can you mine data from it? That 60 million sales, it tells you who bought it, the gender of the person that bought it, the location, the price of what was bought, the quantity that was bought, the category of goods that were bought, all right? The day it was delivered, the amount of money that was paid for delivery. This is a lot of data that Jumia, as an example, in their sales department are sitting on at that point in time. It takes a lot of mining to bring this data together and then be able to make sense out of it. This is how Jumia can then predict. After 5 years of sales, they can predict that in January, we're going to have this volume of sales. And based on that prediction, they are able to say, this is the workforce we need. This is the number of dispatch riders we need. This is the volume of transaction and activities that we need at this point in time. And that's the power of business analytics. This same conversation we've done on Jumia can be done in a production plant. Take, for example, Mocha Foam. Let's assume Mocha Foam they make mattresses. And for the past 5 years, they've been selling a lot of foams. There are months when they have high season and there are periods when they have low season, as it were. If they gather the data across those 5 years, they can predict which of the seasons, which of the months, the maximum demand from them. And then they can beef up production at that particular point in time in order to meet the demand. When iPhone launched some years ago, within the first 3 years of its launch, it sold 50 million units. And today, for every unit, every new brand of iPhone or model of iPhone that comes out, they sell over 500,000 units of it within a month, as the case may be. All right. So that's an example, 500 million, sorry, not 500 million within a period of sales, as the case may be. So that's an example of the volume of data that these organizations have, and they are able to process them from time to time. Now, in processing this particular data, let's look at the size of data that they receive, that they've accumulated over time. It becomes humongous that you cannot just store it in a simple database. So an Excel sheet will not be able to help you at that point in time. So you need a much, much bigger data management system, an advanced management system, not necessarily bigger, but advanced management system to be able to handle that. If you're keenly interested in this conversation and you want to take it further than this, then perhaps I would recommend you get this particular textbook. You can buy it off at Amazon, or you can download a free copy from the Book Bonds platform, as the case may be. It is called Making the Most of Big Data by Candace and Benson. Try and get a copy of the book, and it will help you in your data analytics journey. So businesses need support for them to make decisions. There is uncertainty in our economics, right? Regularly things change in the business environment, right? There's rapidly changing environments amongst us. There's global competition coming in regularly to hit you. So you need data to be able to make decisions. And then the demands, the needs of customers are constantly changing. So taking advantage of information acquired by companies is a critical success factor for them to become successful in what they are doing. Now, what is the characteristics of data in order for us to take good decisions with this particular data? Here are some characteristics of data in order for us to take good decisions of this particular data. Note, we need better data quality. All right. First, we need accuracy. Accurate enough for informed and intended purpose. It must be accurate, as the case may be. Take, for example, you can do an estimation and you say, okay, the measurement is 5.25. And it's okay, let me round it off, 5. You see, you can round off that way, but in banking, you cannot round off 5.25 million. What is 0.25 million? What is 0.25 million naira? How much is 0.25 million naira? How much is 0.25 million? So try and enter it in the chat box. What is 0.25 million naira? What is 0.25 million naira? Can you break it down? How much is that money? Because when you say 0.25, somebody may not understand what 0.25 means. What does 0.25 million? Exactly 250,000 naira. Now imagine if the bank just truncates every account and does round up on all the accounts. And then we have 0.25 million amongst 1 million customers. So 0.25 times 250 gives you 250 billion naira by rounding up. So that's a serious error. So when you come to data, you must be careful about the level of accuracy you require when you're calculating. So you can say, okay, there are 2.5 human beings in that department. The average department has 2.5 staff in it. What is 0.5 staff? You see, it is difficult for you to measure a 0.5 of a staff, as the case may be. So you're safe to round up that the average department has 2 or 3 staff in it at that point in time. But you cannot round up 0.25 naira. It adds up at that point. So that's an issue of accuracy. Then there's issue of validity. Is it in compliance with the requirement that we expect it to be? An example of validity is you go to the hospital and then there's a scale for measuring. The doctor usually measures, and based on that particular scale, he makes prescription of the medication to the patients. Now, if the scale is supposed to measure weights and you climb on it, they expect to see 75 kg or 85 kg. But you climb on it and it is showing you 1.65 meters. You see, the scale, instead of measuring weight, is measuring height. Now, the doctor cannot take a decision based on a height measurement when he needs a weight measurement at that point in time. That's an issue of validity. It means that that particular scale is not functional, is not working well for us at that point in time. Then there's this issue of reliability. Can you count on it, as the case may be? An example of reliability, again, using the doctor scale. So if you climb the scale and the scale shows 75 kg, and you come down, you climb again and it shows 70 kg. You come down, you climb again, it shows you 79 kg. That scale clearly is not reliable. Fluctuations of 5 kg, 4 kg is too much for you to be an error rate at that point in time. So the data you gather must be as much as possible reliable at that point in time. Then timeliness. I remember a particular organization that they wanted to change their salaries, okay? And then they did a market survey on salaries, how much the other organizations are paying. And they finished gathering the information and they make a recommendation to their board for the new salary structure they want to implement. But the board did not approve. 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, 2 years later, the board approved. You see, at that point, then the board approved the market situation as at 2 years ago. So when they announced the new salary increase, it was an insult to the people. It didn't make any difference at that point in time. So timeliness of data is very critical. Other issues around data decisions are issues of relevance and completeness in order for you to take an informed decision at that point in time. Generally, there is an information gap in the market. There's a shortfall between gathering information and using information to take decisions. A lot of organizations have data, but they can't take decisions on that particular data. For example, the HR department, a lot of data. You have data on staff employment, data on staff performance, data on recruitment, on staff behaviors, on employee relations, on training and development, but these data are not speaking to themselves. They exist in different files, different areas in the organization. And each time management takes a decision, rarely do they have an informed decision from those particular data. So business analysts spend at least 2 days a week gathering and formatting data instead of performing analysis. This is sad. Instead of spending time to make analysis of data, they are busy formatting data, bringing the data, and trying to fix it together. In some environments, they spend up to 3 or 4 days a week gathering data. And then business intelligence seeks to bridge the gap between data gathering and also information and decision that is taken at that point in time. We spoke about data mining. And data mining is a computational process of doing some basic statistical analysis on your data, finding mean, median, mode as an example. Okay, using statistical methods and artificial intelligence in order for you to analyze your data. It finds hidden features on your data, like frequency. Okay, the number of times, that will be frequency. All right, timeliness. All right, turnaround time. It begins to identify some of those things within your data at that point in time. Business intelligence are tools and techniques that are used to turn data into meaningful information. In business intelligence, there's a process. And this particular process helps you to be able to turn this particular data that you have into meaningful, intelligent tools you can work with. The methods used by organizations to turn data into knowledge is called process. While the information at the end of the day is the product of that particular process you've gone through. And there are various applications of business intelligence. You can use this in customer analytics, in human capital productivity, business productivity, in sales channel, deciding on which channels are selling the most for us, as the case may be, in consumer behaviors, as the case may be, and also in staffing or people analytics, as it is called today. So these are the various areas in which you can use your analytics platform. Now, your business intelligence is usually collecting, refining information from many sources, both internal and external. Now, analyzing and presenting the information is useful ways like using dashboards, right? Using visualizations to be able to make those particular analysis will help you to achieve as much as possible at that point in time. And then you're able to make those analyses. So that people can make better decisions based on that particular analysis. And people build and retain competitive advantage on those particular areas. So you can then be able to use it to achieve as much results as you want in your organization and what you're doing also. Now, here's an example of a dashboard, a simple marketing dashboard that you can use in what you're doing. And it helps you to see very clearly the various areas at this point in time. So you can see in this particular dashboard, by looking at it very clearly, you can see the numbers, they jump out at you. They speak to you instantly, instead of looking at raw data in Excel files, as the case may be. These data help you to instantly take decisions as much as possible in order for you to act in line with the decision and the data that you've collected at that point. Another example is the health dashboard. If you're used to running, jogging, or taking exercises, and you wear one of those Fitbit devices, all right, those wristwatches, as the case may be, that captures those particular data. Once in a while, if you go to your app, it gives you statistics and analysis of what is going on with you at that point in time. So that's an example of what your dashboard can do for you. It helps you to be very, very accurate with your plans and what you're doing in order to ensure that you achieve as much results at that point in time. Okay. Now, a few initiatives, a few organizations have started doing various initiatives to ensure that they are able to achieve as much results as possible in what they are doing. But these are usually far-reaching, and they do not produce the maximum effect that 70% of senior executives report that analytics will be very important as a competitive advantage for them. But out of this 70%, only 2% feel confident that they have achieved that level of analytics. This means that these organizations are looking for analytics specialists, individuals to come and help them to be able to achieve these particular results that they have mentioned, so that they can achieve as much from it and then be able to demonstrate the results that they expect. 70 to 80% of business intelligence projects fail because of poor communication and not understanding what to do, what to ask in those particular areas. 60 to 70% of BI projects fail because of lack of technology, culture, and lack of the infrastructure to be able to achieve these particular things in record time. These are examples of what people and organizations go through in order to achieve the expectations that they have. Now, what is the evolution of business intelligence? Business intelligence has come of age. And over time, we've seen us move from raw data to clean data to structured data, right, to reporting to predictive analysis. And we're now looking at being able to predict the future and act. Take, for example, when the corona started, the virus started, it is possible to predict the spread of that particular virus if we look at the human behavior, behavioral analytics, the movement of people across various worlds, as the case may be. And you notice back in those days, there was a lot of warning on the impact of these particular things across various organizations, so that people can be prepared and careful so that they don't get involved or caught off unawares at that point in time. So that's an example of where we are for most organizations, or for some organizations, in being able to predict the future at that point in time. So we'll move from data warehousing to business intelligence to performance management, now to analytics. Some organizations don't even have data warehouse. They don't even have data. And so business intelligence is driven by ad hocly, all right, by gut feeling, as the case may be. And then performance management is subjective in those particular organizations. And so there's no analytics. Nothing can happen in that particular organization because they are not able to as much as possible. All right. But your data warehouse, when we say data warehouse here, where we started from, what are we referring to data warehouse? The ability to collect data from multiple sources, summarize this particular data and present it well. Okay. It also includes data cleaning, structuring the data and breaking it them into what we call data marts or data markets, depending on who wants to consume the data at that point in time. And there are 5 tasks that you can do when it comes to data mining. In data mining, there's data classification. Put all the data according to the categories that they belong to, like loan applications, qualified loan applications, as the case may be. Loan applications that have the capacity for 1 million naira loan and above. All right. Look at the telecoms industry. So when any of the telecoms organization decides to give you credit, as the case may be, they have done a lot of analysis internally. They have classified you as belonging to a particular category of individuals who perhaps recharge 1,000 naira worth of data every 2 weeks. And they know that if they borrow you 500 naira, in 2 weeks' time, you will have recharged 1,000 naira. They will have collected their 500 naira back at that point. So that's an example of classification. There's also data estimation, where you response rates, probabilities of response in that particular area, or prediction, predicting customer behavior based on previous behaviors. And that's the thing. That's why sometimes we say in human resource management, we can predict when an employee will resign. If you work in an organization that has more than 100 staff, and they have historic data of 5 years in that particular organization, if we pick you and profile you across the other 100 and those who have resigned, we can predict when you will resign from your organization. All right. Then there's also affinity grouping. We'll say what terms or services are clustered together, likely to purchase together. If you go to buy some things in the supermarket, you notice that sometimes they put certain products together because they know that people who buy them together. If you go to Spa, as an example, you notice that where they put rice, they put vegetable oil there, they put tomato paste in those. Tendency is that whoever is buying a small bag of rice will need tomatoes. We will need vegetable oil, as the case may be. So that's called affinity group, clustering things together at that point in time, as the case may be. So if you also go to various areas where they sell different items, they find a way of bundling the other ones together at that point in time. If you go online and search something on any of the e-commerce sites, you notice that when that item comes up, below they make other recommendation. Customers also bought this item. Those are examples of affinity group. And then description, finding interesting patterns within the data you have at that point in time. Those are various areas to drive affinity group. Okay. Now, what are the techniques for data mining? Yes, exactly, exactly. Affinity groups in online stores. There are actually 4 techniques for data mining. We shall just look at 3 of them. There's market basket analysis, finding patterns or sequences in the way that people purchase products and services. Walmart, as an example, has an analytics, and I'm sure any of our mega stores in Nigeria will benefit from this. People who buy gin also buy tonic. They've discovered that people who buy a bottle of gin tend to buy tonic along with it at that point in time. Just like sometimes if you go to certain markets and certain environments, people who buy energy drink also buy soft drinks along with it at that point in time, because it appears that they combine the two when they are drinking it. Okay, so it only makes sense that if you're stacking that particular product, when you're presenting an energy drink to a customer, you also present soft drinks to that particular customer, so that the customer will buy them in bundle like that. But also, they've noticed that it's not obvious. Men who bought diapers will not buy beer. So it doesn't show that every man that walks into a shop to buy diapers is also going to buy beer at that point. So they don't follow. So you must understand how market basket clustering is. So please do not put beer and diapers together, hoping that men, when they come, they will buy the two at that point in time. It will not work that way. You won't sell much. at that point in time. Then the same thing on clustering analysis, grouping data into like clusters based on the specific attributes that they have. Take, for example, if our police department in Nigeria, in Lagos State, as an example, can cluster crime maps, okay? Crime map clusters to better deploy police force, so that they know which area in Lagos State has the most crime. Then they can deploy police forces to those cluster areas in order to arrest and checkmate crime issues at that point in time. This way, it reduces the need of people calling police that there are crime or issues around those particular areas. On crime clusters, we also say the same thing about when you're building a cellular tower. If any of the network organizations wants to build a network tower, they will locate it in a cluster in an area where they expect it to have the most coverage. So statistics will help them, data will help them. What's the number of subscribers in that particular area? What is the level of subscribers in that particular area? There's no need of building a high-powered, high-data platform in an area where people just make phone calls. They don't use data that much, right? The same thing also, there's no use building a small data platform in an area where people there believe that data is oxygen. So those are examples of how clustering can help you in that area. And also like the outbreak of Corona. When Corona broke out, it is easy to understand which area will be most vulnerable. Why? Because of the clustering of individuals, the social behaviors of people in that particular area. You notice that people in that particular area will be prone more to being able to catch this particular disease. This is why one of the first things globally that countries banned was air flights, was flights across various nations, because through that particular medium, it was a faster way of transferring those particular things across various areas, okay? Then the other things are market areas, closed shopping centers, because those are enclosures where you have people together at that point in time. So those are things that they'll need to check to ensure that they do not expose the organization to those particular risks. Okay, now, coming to the next conversation. If you want to become a business analyst specialist, what do you need to know? How do you become a business specialist, as this case may be, all right, in this particular area? For one thing you need to understand is that there is an increasing demand for modern day business analysts, all right? Technology is changing very fast. Combined with disruptions, new regulations, business analysts need to be responsive to the new trends that we find around us in our environment. And there are various key drivers that are making this happen. One is focus on user experience. We want to find out exactly what do users want so we can deploy those things for those particular users. For a different kind of analytics is competition and relevance, increased investment in change, because a lot of organizations are beginning to experience change. According to a LinkedIn research, that particular research in 2020 showed that business analysis is one of the top 6 skills that organizations are looking for, skills that is mostly needed in the future, as the case may be, all right? Inclusive of other skills that you can find in that particular area. So people who are learning new skills, who want to improve their career, improve their opportunities for growth, they should learn business analytics. They should learn data analytics, as the case may be. And this will help them to advance in their career and achieve more at that point in time. Now, there are different types of business analytics depending on the type of change activity that you find in those particular environments. There is a traditional business analysis, okay, also known as a waterfall business analyst. Then there's a modern day business analyst, also known as the agile business analyst. The traditional business analyst looks at the business, looks at the data that is available to him, and then makes prediction. But the modern day business analyst is working in an environment where there's a lot of agile things, random changes happening. So constantly he needs to reconfigure his analysis and continue to make reconfigurations at that point in time. Then of course there is business analysis of the future, which are higher levels of data and technical capability. In this case, not only do you need to understand analysis, but you understand the data in that particular area. Take for example, you cannot be a professional data analyst within the HR department if you do not understand HR metrics. When HR is talking about turnover rate, attrition rate, right? Time to fill vacancy, the span of control, you must understand what these things are. So when you're running your analysis in data, you understand what that is talking about. People who are in customer, if you're doing data analysis and business analysis within the customer space, within the sales space, you must also understand the language those people use in that particular area. All right, wallet share as an example is one of the ones you see there. Customer relationship management, lifetime value of the customer. You must understand what these expressions mean. So the BA of the future is someone who not only understands data, but also has technical experience in the area in which he is being an analyst for. Now, of course, the last one is no BA at all. Teams still do business analysis, but it is not based on data. And they just do their basic analysis at that point in time. Okay. Now, if you look at this for traditional business analyst without data, all right, his data doesn't change because it's the same thing. The modern day business analyst, who regularly his data changes on a periodic basis. The interest of the customer is changing, competition is affecting him, seasons are changing regularly, so data changes regularly. Then the BA of the future, which is the person who not only is a modern day person, but also has to deal with the technicality of the area he finds himself in. And then the no business analysis at all at that point in time. So these are the 4 different types of business analysts and the intelligence gatherers that we have in the environment. If I ask you, which of these 4 do you have experience with? So what will you say? Please respond in the chat box. Are you new to data analysis? 0 to 2 years experience? You have some experience in business analysis, 3 to 5 years experience, or you have 6 to 10 years experience, you have plus 10 years experience. So please respond with just with A, B, C, D as your response. I'll be able to contextualize it. So which are you? So yeah, so which represents you? Yes, can we get 1 or 2 more response? If you're not clear, ask questions. Okay, thank you very much for responding. So let's look at what we have in the chat box. So we have a lot of A's and B's, A's and B's. So we have people who are new to business analysis and some who have one person, let's see, yeah, just one person with some experience in business analysis. So most of us are in the A category. Beautiful. All right, beautiful, that's fine. So by means of summary, what we have said so far is in the space of business intelligence, you use data analytics to develop new products and new services, right? Over 51% of organizations use data analysis to develop new products and analysis. 50% use analytics to drive their process and cost to be much more efficient than it is. While 49% use data analytics to find new customers that they can do business with at that point in time. All right. 44% use data and analytics to analyze the existing customer needs, the value proposition, the profitability of the customers that they have, as the case may be. And they use 46% use analytics to manage their risk, as the case may be. And finally, 48% use analytics to drive strategy and change in the corporate organization. So these are drivers of what we see within our environment. Now, the traditional business analysts, let me describe the 4 of them for you now. The traditional business analyst, the core attribute of this particular individual is upfront analysis, comprehensive documentation, and handoff to the delivery functions, as the case may be. His mindset, his solution focus. He does an exhaustive analysis, and he's very predictive in the way he does his thing. The activities he does: process mapping, comprehensive documentation, requirements, sign-off, and hands-off to the various departments. What are the skills you need for a traditional business analyst? Historic data analysis. You can take data in Excel and do analysis on that particular data. All right. Traditional processes. You must understand the processes of the organization, and of course, understand how to write reports, report writing, compendium of report writing. Those are the things that will help you to succeed in this particular area of your business analysis, if you do it very, very well at that point in time. So that is the traditional person. So if you look at our graph here, they define, they validate, they analyze, and then they document. Define, validate, analyze, and then they document. On the other hand, let's look at the modern day business analyst and see how the modern day business analyst responds in his own case. The modern day business analyst, okay, ranges from design and development support right through to strategic analysis. It's not just design. He also goes into strategy, as the case may be. His mindset, customer and product focused. Unlike our other friends, unlike this person who is solution focused. See, the traditional person focuses on solution, while the modern day person focuses on the customer and the product itself at that point in time. What are some of the skills that is required here? Empirical data analysis, modern delivery methods, and then concise description writing, not a large volume documentation as we used to see in the past at that point in time. Okay. But as we make progress to the BA of the future, in this particular case, the world of business analysis has changed completely, and you need to adapt in order to remain relevant. Okay, so in this case, it is not just business analysis. You also need to be a data scientist. All right, you also need to use augmented technology, be able to connect to online, download data from online, and make analysis based on live data that you have at that point in time. Okay, and then with the presence of fintech, you see a lot of fintech in our environment. It's easier for you to build anything based on the fintechs. In 1 week, a new app can be deployed that almost everybody likes, as the case may be. Some of the apps you see around us are built in a short time, but they continue to iterate it in order to improve the results they get from. Then there's also hybrid working capability. You can work from anywhere. That's the BA of the future. You can work from home, you can work from the office, you can work from your mobile phone, you can do analysis. You're not constrained to Excel sheets on a laptop or on a desktop, as the case is at that point in time. So you understand exactly what you're doing at that point in time. Then the last one is the person without no BA, no business analysis background. An example is an enterprise-wide data-driven digital transformation in operation in a particular organization. What is the benefits? Key transformation capability, agile agent of change, and then you spearhead operations and the workforce at that point in time. Those are the things you can do in order to succeed in those areas and do very well, as the case may be. All right. Now, what are the possible career paths for someone who is interested in pursuing a career in business analysis? Usually, you will start with a role that is called junior business analyst. This is the common one. This green one is the common one. You start in a role where you're a junior business analyst, right? And then from there, you become a confirmed business analyst in that organization. And then you can then become a lead business analyst or a business architect at that case. Or a second part is from a business analyst, you become a product owner, you become in charge of a particular product in the organization, you become the chief product owner, and eventually you become the head or the lead of the entire value chain in that particular organization. Now, there are other parts that are beginning to appear. For example, product manager. We'll have a program coming up very soon that is called product management or product strategy. Then there's also head of product or product director. Like in the breweries that you have, some of the brands that you have. So you have a product manager in charge of each of those brands, as the case may be. And there's a head of each of those particular products in various areas. And of course, there's a global head, the product director, as the case may be. So there are other ones. You can be system focused, as the case may be, or a project management office. Instead of you belonging within a particular space, you're in the project management office, and then you support all the projects that the organization has at that point in time that they bring into bear within the organization. What are some of the trainings you need in order to become successful in business analysis, in the modern and in the future business analysis? I have identified 9 different trainings, and you can find all these particular trainings for free. Right? You can find them for free, at least the fundamental ones. You can find them in various websites online. Once you Google up any of these particular ones, you can also find some of them on the website called P4PETalks. So how do you do this? There's business analysis, there's agile, there's digital agile, machine learning, data analyst, product owner, testing, project management, and then consulting. Consulting, project management, and product owner are the high end of this particular area. It shows that you are already a senior individual in this particular area. While the data analyst, data testing, and digital agile BA, these 3 are the ones that shows you are a practitioner in the area in which you are in at that point in time. Okay, so those are the various trainings that you will find you can use, and they adapt those particular training. Okay. How do you start off? First, identify what you need, develop yourself in those particular areas, get the tools you need to be successful in those particular areas, and then scale. Begin to scale so you can be successful in the area in question that you have advised yourself that you are going to do. All right. So any one of those will help you as much as possible to be able to achieve the results you want. Okay. So those are the various steps you go through in building your business analytics skills. Okay, so you can be able to succeed as a professional in this particular area. Then you can produce as much results as you want in it. If you want to become a specialist in business analysis, right? It's a career you want to pursue. There are 3-part courses that I would recommend from here that you can take that will soak and immerse you in this particular area, so you can become a sought-after professional in business analysis. And you have a lot of them working in the telecoms organization, in the banking industry, in a lot of manufacturing concern, and some of them now are beginning to appear in public service, as the case may be. So there are various industries where you can find a career in this particular area. There are 3 programs that you may pursue. The first one is Introduction to Become an Analytics, all right? This particular program is holding next month. The second one is Business Analytics Practice, okay? Business Analytics Practice that makes you a professional in business analytics. And then the third one is Advanced Business Analytics. advanced business analytics. For the various courses that are mentioned here that you can progress and be able to obtain, they each indicate what is possible for you in this particular area, so you can achieve as much progress in that particular area as possible. So for the first one, here you have the introduction to become an analyst. This particular program, you learn the basics of business analytics and you build your career as a business analyst. It's a 2-week program, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 sessions across that particular period, and it's holding next month. You'll find this program once you register online, either on ProVarsity or through our platform. The second program is a 3 weeks extended program. Again, Tuesdays and Thursdays. You learn the practice of business analytics, and then you advance your career as a business analyst in this particular area. It costs you about $45,000, and this will happen shortly after this particular course is over. And then the third one is the advanced business analytics, where you conduct advanced business analytics and support your organization in being able to deliver the results that they are pursuing as a business analyst specialist. Again, this runs for 3 weeks across Tuesdays and Thursdays, and this is running in the month of June. Okay, any of these particular programs, you can sign up on them. And since you've attended this particular webinar, we are willing to give you a 50% discount on this particular program. Just indicate at the end of it and send a message to the host, and they will take note of it. So when you're registering, you can have access to this 50%. But you must do this registration at least 1 month ahead of the class for you to benefit this 50% off from this particular program. Okay, so you've heard it. We've gone through our various conversations across board all the areas of business analytics. What have we covered in our conversation today on business analytics? We have said that this is a platform that requires careful career consideration that will lead you to achieve superior results in your career, and then you'll be able to make progress successfully. We have gone through the demands of business analysis, the evolution in that particular area, the career path that is possible, the training you need, and how to build your community in this particular area so you can become successful. Thank you very much for your time. I'll take your questions at this point in time. Any questions? Yes, questions? Feedback on this particular session so we can better support you in your career advancement. Meanwhile, the content of this material will be available to you at the end of this particular program, so that you can use them accordingly. So yes, any feedback, any questions? So I'll hang on for your questions for another 1 minute or thereabouts. After then, we will sign off on the webinar. Thank you very much. Planning unit. The planning unit is usually tactical in the way they make their things arrangement. So it's much more of action plans that they are going to do. The strategy unit, on the other hand, in an organization is futuristic. They look into the future based on the vision of the organization and then decide what is the best way, what is the best route the organization is going to follow in order to achieve that particular feature at that point in time. Planning unit and the strategy unit based on data. because they now produce information and insights that the planning unit will use to base its actions on. The strategy unit will use to base its predictions on what is going to go through. If an organization decides to go in a particular path, what is driving that decision? So the business intelligence unit produces the information, the data analysis that is required to take that decision. If not so, most conversations or decisions are based on gut feelings, all right, and the feelings of management or the experience of management. But in today's world, experience is not enough because things change regularly and it brings it outside your domain at that point in time. Michael also says, is it correct to create business units in planning and strategy units? Which one is dependent? It is actually okay to put a business unit in planning, put a business unit in strategy, but sometimes maybe duplication. An organization can choose to set up a business intelligence unit, and that business intelligence unit will gather data from all parts of the organization and mine that particular data and then share to the organization. If you remember a slide, there was a slide that we went through, this particular slide on data warehousing. You see, we aggregate data from all departments, from marketing, from HR, from sales, and the business intelligence unit department sits on it, and they're able to create the data output, then determines where it is going to. That's why it's called data market. Who in the organization is interested in the output of that particular data at that point in time. So if you are a large organization, you can set up a central business intelligence unit. If your organization is not so large, then you can just set up a desk in each of those particular offices you've mentioned. And the person on that desk or the team on that particular desk will then manage data for you within the organization. Thank you very much. Yes, any other feedback or questions? Okay, so if we have any other question or feedback on how we